Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Hey! It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Now, Mexico has very tough policies. They can do whatever they want, which is the way it should be, to be honest. You're violating something very sacred. You're violating a border. Canada, very, very tough. Very, very tough. And Canada is very merit-based. You come into Canada, it's got to be based on merit. With us, it's a lottery system. Pick them out, a lottery system. You can imagine what those countries put into the system. They're not putting their good ones. And remember my opening remarks at Trump Tower when I opened. Everybody said, oh, he was so tough. And I used the word rape. And yesterday it came out where this journey coming up, women are raped at levels that nobody's ever seen before. They don't want to mention that.
Oh, my God. All right. He didn't. Oh, my God. This was Trump in West Virginia yesterday. We played you, a little of it yesterday as it was happening because I couldn't believe what the crap he was saying. And I turned on the TV to see if they were going to debunk him. And just about everybody, well, except for Fox News. Mo Brooks from Alabama, he says there's an invasion. I swear to God, you have Congress members that'll just repeat any swill this man said. You didn't say the word rape. You said rapists. That's what you said, and you were referring to Mexicans. And yesterday he started to say that the Caravan that spooked him into calling up the National Guard has become some sort of a traveling rape circus. Now, women in my audience, and I've noticed there are a lot of us, where do you think you'd be safer? In the Caravan that made its way to Puebla, Mexico just today, thank God, where they were headed, not to the border, but to Puebla, Mexico, or in Donald Trump's office? I mean, more women have said that they suffered sexual assault at the hands of Donald Trump than said that they were assaulted on this Caravan. In fact, hours after Trump made this stupid appearance in West Virginia where he was feeling buoyant. He was feeling happy. Because he won West Virginia by 43 points, 430,000 points. It was like a Putin election in West Virginia. You know why? Opioids, everybody. Opioids. Opioids are the opioids of the masses. Used to be religion. It's been replaced. It's now opioids. It's the actual opioid of the masses. And they went and they voted for Donald Trump. And right after he got out of West Virginia, where he was supposed to be doing a tax roundtable, he was supposed to be talking about, how great the tax, but he was supposed to be selling that. And he doesn't want to sell it because he knows it's bullcrap. He knows that the people in West Virginia haven't gotten, jack crap. I didn't either. And we had a very bad jobs report because today's Friday. We got a very bad jobs report. And then he threatens, another $100 billion, of tariffs on China. And the stock market today, 700 points down at one point, and now it closed about 500 points down. I thought he was taking credit for the stock, but now he never talks about it. Just now he's talking about rapists and Mexicans because it's Trump's greatest hits. And speaking of Stormy Daniels, you just have to say greatest hits 3 times fast and you'll understand what I mean. But anyway, so they went, the people in the press, literally, the journalists, the people who Trump would like to, disappear. They went to the organizers of the Caravan and they asked Rodrigo Abeja, who is one of the organizers, whether or not he had heard about any of the women in the Caravan being sexually molested or, in fact, raped. And he asked the reporters, have you heard of a case? And they said, no. He said, well, I've been with the Caravan for 12 days, and I haven't seen or heard of anyone being raped at levels no one has ever seen before, which means even on the road, in the Caravan, in Mexico, they heard what he said. They heard him. The deputy director of the Latin American program at the Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington agreed migrants face dangers, but there's no data that says that any sexual abuse has occurred on this caravan. He said, in fact, it's why the caravan was formed, so they could protect themselves from abuse from Mexican authorities, criminal groups, unscrupulous people. No criminal is so stupid to do something like that while everybody's eyes are trained upon them. That did not stop Congressman Mo Brooks from Alabama going on and talking to what's her name, Camerata this morning, Allison Camerata, and telling her, there's an invasion, we're being invaded.
Good morning.
Great to have you here. I want to read what the statement you put out about this caravan and about the president's idea to send National Guard troops to the border. Here's your statement. I fully support President Trump's use of our military to secure the border against invasion by foreign nationals. Recent highly publicized caravans of thousands of foreigners heading for America's border emphasize that it is past time for Congress to reform laws that entice and reward foreign nationals who illegally invade America. Congressman, why are you using the word invasion and illegal invasion there?
Because that's the word that applies. If you go to Webster's dictionary, it absolutely fits that definition.
Okay, fuck yourself. Really, Mo. Honestly, the whole state of Alabama. Just, Roy Moore, really. Mo Brooks, honestly, because if you look at anybody that invokes Hitler or Webster's dictionary, you've just lost the argument, okay? Honestly, I saw this morning on the Fox and the Friends with the news model, Ainsley, whatever her, what is she with Ford Modeling? I don't know which agency represents. She's actually sitting there pulling out the dictionary going, let's look up the word oligarch. You know what? Fuck you. Okay, and you know me, I'm not a cursing whore, but honest, I'm so sick of these people with their invasion theories and whip out Webster's and this is Nazi Germany, and you have a president who is a congenital liar, so much so that he can't even go and clear his name. He swears he's done nothing wrong, and he can't even go and talk to the special prosecutor, the special counsel, because he will lie. He will lie, and every one of his friends, every one of his he's got one lawyer left. Every one of his lawyer. Everyone knows he's lying. He's lying and lying. Honestly, I cannot stand these people.
But isn't this the process for seeking asylum?
Yes, it is.
People show up on our shores and at our borders seeking political asylum?
Well, if you want to get into the legalistics of what is asylum and what is not, that is...
Yes, we want to get into the legalists. You're calling them criminals. I think the legal has something to do with that. You're declaring we're having an invasion. These people... Go look on a map, will you please, everybody? Just Google Mexico and then Google Puebla, Mexico. Puebla, Puebla, Mexico. It means town. Is really what it means. Just Google it. Now, you tell me, is that anywhere near the border? Is it? No. It's in the middle of Mexico. It's in the central part of Mexico. These people have got to be, I'm telling you, I want them under oath when they are, if they're on the TV and they're using representative in front of their name with the R Alabama next to it, they must be under oath. This is crazy. The racism that they are promoting in this, it's tearing us apart. It's tearing up. Well, if you want to talk about the legality of it, this is the process for asking for asylum, and they're nowhere near our border anyway. And they're not being raped. What is this rape thing? We have more credible reports about sexual abuse at the hands of Alabama Senate candidates than we do about Mexicans. What the F, people? Trump said, well, yesterday it came out where this journey coming up, women are raped at levels nobody's ever seen before. It came out? It came out of what? Your ass? Where did it come out? I'm so sick of it. And the racism, oh my God. You want to hear what goes on Fox and Friends? Check this one out, okay? I'm going to play you 2 clips, then we'll take a break, and then we have really exciting news, I think, if you're interested in justice. If you're interested in, finding, Eric Prince guilty. Wow, it was an amazing report last night. Nobody's really dealing and talking, but I will. But look at the racism. This is Fox and Friends this morning.
You're seeing a picture of Jay-Z right now, the rapper, continuing his attacks now on the president and lecturing the country on why white men are so privileged in an upcoming episode of David Letterman's new show on Netflix. Watch this.
He's bringing out an ugly side of America that we wanted to believe was gone.
Yeah.
And it's still here, and we still got to deal with it. And we have to have the conversation. We have to have tough conversation. We have to talk about the N-word, and we have to talk about why white men are so privileged in this country.
But as a celebrity worth close to $1 billion, according to Forbes, is he the right person to be talking about wealth and privilege?
Oh my God, they are so stupid. They are so stupid. They don't understand that when Jay-Z is in a car and he's driving, in a nice car in a neighborhood where somebody might not, recognize that Jay-Z, if God forbid he reaches into his pocket to get his driver's license, he could get shot dead, just killed. They think white privilege means wealth because that's what it means to Fox and Friends. Holy crap, man. Are they stupid? I mean, that was the most ignorant thing I'd ever heard a white person. So many days go by, so many times. I'm sitting there, I'm talking to Howard, watching the TV, and I go, you know what? I hate white people. I just hate that. And, I don't mean all white people. I hate saltines. They want to call me a snowflake. Oh, F you. You're a freaking cracker. That's what you are. You're crackers. And we're just going to call you saltines now. Anybody that repeats this swill, that white privilege means wealth, it doesn't mean wealth. It means that I can walk through Neiman Marcus and no one's going to follow me. However, if Brett walks through Neiman Marcus and Brett makes the same amount of money I do, in fact, I think Brett makes a little more. I think he does. But if Brett goes into Neiman Marcus looking for the fabulous, blue suede shoe with a little, snub toe, he's got the best taste in shoes. After me, he gets followed. That's white privilege. I have less money in my pocket. I could be wearing a Randi Rhodes t-shirt, which, by the way, this is brand new. I have something to tell you about the Randi Rhodes t-shirt. I'm so freaking excited about those. But listen to this stupid conversation.
Here to weigh in on this is Executive Director of Unhyphenated America, Mr. Christopher Harris. Hey, Christopher, thanks for being with us.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. What is your reaction about what Jay-Z just said?
God. I think he's precisely the wrong person to have this conversation.
Oh, my God.
It'd be one thing if he had just given up his past, but he continues to promote a message, a divisive message. And, the left is actually promoting him because he's a shiny object to distract people.
Yeah, because Jay-Z's complaining about white privilege, but we had a black president for 8 years. Did he do a good job?
Well, here's the interesting thing. I'm a big fan of Booker T. Washington, and he was the first black man to be invited to the White House. And there was a huge backlash when he was invited to the White House by Teddy Roosevelt. But then we fast forward a little bit over 100 and something years, and you have Sean Carter being invited to the White House or hanging out with President Obama, and they're Twitter buddies or text buddies, and no one said a word. It's one of those things
where... Why would you say a word?
They want to continue to promote an idea that's not really there. When you're dealing with individual Americans dealing with each other individually, we don't have the problems that the left says that we do.
Oh, really?
But when you listen to the lamestream media, that's what they're going to keep telling you, is that we're all at each other's throat, and it's simply not true.
Well, but you hear that all the time, Christopher, and after a while, people start to believe it if it's not true.
We're talking about unarmed black men being killed in their grandma's backyard. We're talking about Philando Castile, who was licensed to carry, who told a police officer that he was and was killed. We're talking about a guy in New York who was bipolar, who was known to the neighborhood, who was running down the street with a pipe in his hand and was killed. This crazy freaking channel doesn't understand that the same person who told a police officer that he had a license to carry, if they were white, would not have been killed. If they had been breaking windows in there and then jumped the fence to get back to grandma's house, if they had been white, they would not have been killed. If this was a person in New York that was running around, with a Tamir Rice with a pellet gun or with a toy, it wouldn't have been 2 seconds after the police jumped out of the car that this little kid was killed. If Tamir Rice's name was John Smith or John Butin. Do you know what I'm saying? Why do they do this? And then I got real footage. Okay, this happened yesterday also. This is a little suburb outside of Atlanta. This is called Griffin, Georgia. Okay, and this was their city council meeting. And the reason why this was happening is because this little county declared April Confederate History Month. And one of the former council members was so excited that he decided to address the council and tell them what it meant to be a white Southerner.
And we talked, and I told you where I came from, and we had an understanding, and you understood me much better after that, and we served together pretty good after that. We did. I told you at that time that they were white folks, they were black folks when I was growing up.
Okay.
They was white trash, my family, and they was town. I lived next town.
You live next to what town?
Town, son, I'm telling you. Now, I've changed. I'm no longer white trash, and they're no longer called that. Now, wait a minute.
Hold on one second.
Mr. McCord, let him have his minute, please. Mr. McCord, please.
What did
now,
if
that's
he just...
offensive, I apologize for being offensive, but I told you that.
Mr. McCord, please.
Let me just go ahead and say something.
Offensive.
You said something about the flag.
I didn't say you were offensive.
You said something about the flag.
I'm not going to sit here,
Mr. McCord.
And now maybe y'all are comfortable with that. Now I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and let this man use that type of language. And if nobody else is offended, then I am. Now, if y'all think if y'all want to clap and think that that's okay for this gentleman to stand in 2018,
really,
and get here at the Board of City Commission meeting, 2018, the Civil War is over, and he is using the N-word, not once, not twice, 3 times, and he just continues to say it
Mr. McCord,
with not word about who it offends.
2018, a former city council member goes to the city council to explain why they need Confederate History Month and says, well, I mean, you got two kinds of people here. You got your white trash and you got your N-words. And, you had the white trash town and then you had N-town. And, and when Mr. McCord, who obviously is a black man on the Griffin's Georgia City Council, which is just outside of Atlanta. It's not like in the hinterlands and the boonies. I mean, these people have access to real TV. You know what I'm saying? And when he says to him, isn't anybody else offended? Nobody speaks up. Nobody. At the end, one of the white women who had just joined the city council, she said, you know what? We need to have some words we can't say here, because if I said a 4-letter word that started with an F and ended with a K, everybody would be all over me. But this man can stand here and say the N-word not once, not twice, but 3 times in the year 2018. This is ridiculous. This has got to stop. Poor Mr. McCord, he was the only one that spoke up and went, what are you, really? In 20, what do you do? This is the kind of hatred the president is codifying.
At RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
He lies again to the American people. This kind of events, that so-called Caravan, happens every year.
Every year.
As a matter of fact, close to 500,000 Central Americans cross the border into Mexico, and 400,000 of them are sent back. Another 100,000 get into Mexico, are around there in their desire to come to the state. But Mexico is doing its job, sending that people back to their homes with a lot of compassion, human attitude, not with a stick. So this Caravan happens almost every year. Now, he lied about the rapist level there is. Right. Please, Trump, tell the truth to your people. Don't lie to them every day.
No, really. That was former President of Mexico, Vicente Fox, saying, please, Mr. Trump, stop lying to your people. You lie to them every day. There are no rapists. The caravans happen every year. I think I was the only or the first person to tell it to you. These caravans, and you know who else is marching? You know who else is marching? The teachers in Oklahoma are marching from Tulsa to Oklahoma City, 110 miles. They are marching. This whole country is out in the streets. Everyone's out. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So we're starting to look more like Honduras than the president wants you to know. This is just crazy. This is just, it's insane. When you have teachers who can't even, they have to have a second job. I saw teacher signs on this march to Oklahoma, through Oklahoma, from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. And the teacher's sign said, "My second job paid for this sign." I mean, it was just, they're so fun. And there's people all along the route from Tulsa to Oklahoma City where these teachers are marching that are saying, please don't give up, please don't give up. And I just wanted to tell the teachers in Oklahoma, we're watching, we're with you. I don't know how many listeners we have in Oklahoma, but I will tell you, Dora the Explorer, that's her nickname. You know, Iron Man donated 10 podcasts, and we've been giving them away all week. And then Mr. Mark gifted us 10 podcasts to give to you. And last night, Dora the Explorer, she's from Brooklyn. Dora donated 5 podcasts, but she wants them to go to people in Oklahoma so that the people in Oklahoma, especially the teachers there, know that we are watching and we are rooting for them, and we don't want them to give up, because the United States of America is starting to look much more like Central America. And Central America, parts of it like Costa Rica, where I have a little experience, is starting to look more like America. We are losing it, people. We are losing it. It is so vile here. I can't even tell you. And the next one up, the next teachers' rally, the march, is going to be in Arizona. I keep telling you, April 11th, there's going to be a walk-in in Arizona. That is to test the waters, to see if they can get 1,000 schools to participate in the walk-in. The walk-in is on April 11th, and what they want is very early in the morning, before the first bell rings. They want concerned parents. They want teachers who are interested in, getting rid of the cuts that were made after the stock market tanked in 2008, after the last Republican president caused chaos in our economy and caused the whole thing to go boom, right? They got cut. Because that's America. That's America. Big banks, they're given, deregulation. They're given tax cuts. They're given every break in the book. They get so greedy. They take advantage of it. They throw the whole system into turmoil like today. And then when the whole thing comes to a crash, who pays for it? Schools. Public education gets cut. And that's what happened all across this country. And so in Arizona, they want to restore the cuts. Oklahoma, they want to restore the cuts to education. Betsy DeVos is never going to do a damn thing. Her brother, Eric Prince, oh my God, it's such a small world. He's about to face the bar, Justice. You wait. This story is just getting, hurry up, Mueller. Hurry. I want to read all these. Summer reading will never be the same after Mueller issues his report. Never be the same. But in Arizona, before the first bell on April 11th, the teachers are going to have a walk-in where they want parents in the communities. They want, obviously the teachers. They want anybody from, the school boards or any concerned person to join them. Bring a sign that says that you're with the teachers. And if they see that there are 1,000 schools in Arizona that participate in the walk-in before the bell on the 11th of this month, then they will organize those schools and they will start a walk out. School will go on as usual on the 11th. It will go on as usual. And that day is going to be really important. That's the day that Zuckerberg testifies. I was reading a story today. This is so freaking frightening. Facebook was going to get into the medical business. I don't know if you know this. This was. They were going to go into the medical business, and they were going to get your medical records, and they were going to combine that data with your data on Facebook, so that They would know if you lived alone. They said it was all for good purposes. If you lived alone, they would know to tell you needed to get a nurse to stay with you in the house. I swear to God. And they've just called that little experiment off. So April 11th is going to be a transformative day in many ways, especially in Arizona and on Capitol Hill. Now, all of a sudden, Facebook says they've implemented new policies now. So now, if I post something on Facebook and I want to boost that post, they're going to ask me for all kinds of information, who I am, what do I want with these people, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. We'll see. I haven't boosted anything lately, so we'll see. But that's another thing. I honest to God, I just cannot believe where we're going. I mean, this is so Orwellian. 1984 is, until Mueller's report comes out, if you haven't ever read 1984, it's a really fast read. I mean, I remember reading it in a day. I remember sitting out in my living room one Saturday, and I just picked it up, and I read the whole thing in one day. You could do it in one day. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And everything in there, it's just like that movie Network. If you prefer doing it in a movie, do Network. Everything that was in there that was supposed to be outrageous and crazy and futuristic, and it's all happened. It has all occurred. So this is just crazy. So yesterday you had the president giving a tax reform speech where he downshifted into ultra racism. He accused the state of California of being involved in massive voter fraud, which, I mean, you can't even have it. He said it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not it really did happen.
Many places, like California, the same person votes many times. You probably heard about that. They always like to say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Not a conspiracy theory.
No, it's not a conspiracy theory because conspiracy theories can be debunked and then they go away. But this one's been debunked 80,642 times and you still keep repeating it. So this is a lie at this point. This is not a conspiracy theory anymore. There have been no... In fact, his own... Remember he put together, what's that idiot guy's name from Kansas? Chris Kobach put together a voter fraud committee. It's been disbanded. They found absolutely zero evidence of voter fraud. I told you, one woman in Texas has gone to jail for 5 years because she was still on supervised release. She had served prison time. She was a tax preparer. This was the big criminal. She was a tax preparer, and she said she was padding her clients' tax forms to get them bigger refunds so she could build her business as the best tax preparer. She got caught. She went to jail. She did her time. She's been out of jail, and now she's on supervised release, right? And so she went to vote. And her name wasn't on the voting rolls, and so they gave her a provisional ballot. And it says on there, if you're a felon or you haven't completed your sentence in Texas, or you're still on supervised parole or whatever it is, you can't vote. And she voted anyway. You know what they gave her? 5 freaking years. 5 years. That is a very low return, high risk crime. That's why nobody does it. Nobody does it. And this man just continues to lie and lie and lie. The Mexican president, he's sitting there on the TV going, please, Mr. President, start telling the truth.
He lies again to the American people.
I mean, this is sad. And if you have like the ex-president of Mexico saying it, and you got Peña Nieto saying it, and they're in negotiations on NAFTA, which, by the way, is going to be a publicity stunt. I've already looked. NAFTA, it's got to be... approved by Congress. The treaties have to go to the Senate. Senate has, approval over treaties. Let me tell you something. They are leaving out everything that would be like I said, what is an import? So they would have to deal with, how many parts from America go into a car that's finished in Mexico, and then is it an import, and how many people would get hurt that make auto parts in the United States and send them to Mexico so Mexico can complete the car. It's just a whole mess. And so it's too much for Trump. It's too much. He can't figure it out. So he's not even going to address the issue of automobiles. He's not going to address investment, and he's not going to address there was a labor standards, which is a big part of what irks people about NAFTA, is that, they can get much less than minimum wage and no health insurance and all that. He's not addressing any of these 3 issues, which means there is no renegotiation of NAFTA. It's just going to be a publicity stunt. The whole thing, like everything he does. Empty, empty, empty promises. This is a man who pulls crap out of his ass and then you freaking suffer for it. He plays people for such suckers and they freaking believe him. Everything he says is false. You remember, I mean, you know, he also said yesterday at his tax reform thing, the only thing he mentioned about taxes, that was a lie too. He said they used to call it tax reform, and for 40 years they couldn't pass anything, and they didn't know why. I called it tax cuts, and look what I passed the biggest tax cuts in the history of the United States. No. Bill Clinton cut taxes. He also raised taxes. George Bush cut taxes. He also raised taxes. Barack Obama cut taxes, and Ronald Reagan cut taxes and also raised taxes. But they raised taxes on the little people. They raise your gas tax. They take away your deductions, right? They take away your ability to. You used to be able to deduct your credit card interest. Ronald Reagan took that little perk away from you. Now they just lowered the amount that you can take off for, your property, for property taxes and mortgage interest. Freaks. You know what? You can't listen. And people still listen to him, and the whole market is spooked. He is causing we had a bad jobs report, and then he started with, I'm going to tax another $100 billion worth of crap from China and all that. And China's like, that's fine. We have maps. We know who voted for you. We will, Kentucky, bye-bye bourbon. Soybean farmers, go to hell. And this is the spring. This is when people plant, and they don't even know what to plant because he's freaking out everybody, including people who actually grow these things. He is a nightmare.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
This November, the entire House of Representatives is up for election. I think about the entire body being dissolved and the question of its future thrown back to the people, the American people. The U.S. House of Representatives we have this time next year will be entirely the result of what we, the voters, decide this fall. So with that, I dare to make a fairly acute prediction. I say it on this 5th day of April with all the possibilities looming this summer and early fall. I believe the Democrats will carry the House. They will take control of the speakership, the chairmanship of all the committees, and perhaps, most important, the power of the subpoena. They will lay claim to an enormous amount of power, and with it, I believe, an enormous amount of responsibility. A word first about the math. As I said early in the show, the Democrats have control now of 194 House seats. They need to pick up 24 to get to the 218 majority. History suggests, and the level of this president's popularity suggests, they will pick up more than the average 29 seats the party opposing the president gets in the first midterm election. I believe they'll do better, somewhere comfortably between 30 and 40 seats picked up.
Yay. That just made me feel good. Made me feel good. Yes, you understand every 2 years the entire House of Representatives is literally dissolved. We get to vote, and we vote for new representation. And as we've all, been very, very acutely aware of, we only need 24 seats, and, people in the know are retiring. Trey Gowdy is trying to polish up his image as, being fair and even-handed and running around, with a black senator to try and pretend he's, doesn't have a racial bone in his body. And, of course, they published a book together so they could, enrich themselves while in office. And Trey is leaving, and he says he wants to go back to being a prosecutor, that he's got nothing to show for his 7 years as a congressman. Great, now you tell us. Mr. Benghazi is saying he's got nothing to show for his 7 years as a congressman. Aren't you glad you voted for Trey Gowdy, who finally shaved his freaking head? That pointy-headed, Vulcan, he had like a Klingon hair. Finally somebody said to him, all right already. He said, all right, I'll do something about. Maybe he saw Trump's, hairdo in the back and how stupid it all looked. I don't know, but they're all getting out of there as fast as they can. The Republicans are, because they know blue wave is coming. It's coming. It's coming, and it's going to be a tsunami, man. Nobody wants to live through this crap. We got a president who is a congenital liar, who is promoting racism and division and divisive talk and claiming that, he's had the biggest victory in the history of everything he says is a freaking lie. And he's getting us in danger. He doesn't know one thing about foreign policy. He's not listening to any of his advisors. He's making proclamations about, I don't telegraph what I'm going to do. But we're getting out of Syria. We're getting out of Syria. And the Russians are like running the whole freaking world. Now the Russians and the Iranians are running to Ankara, to Turkey, to figure out who gets what part of Syria's oil fields. And this dictator gets to stay in power. And Russia gassed the Syrian people, and they're going to be declared the winner. I mean, I don't even understand what the hell this man, does know and doesn't know, because he can't tell the truth. But while he lies, he keeps on ripping us apart. It's like every time we make 2 steps forward, this guy pulls us 9 steps back. It is the same damn thing that the Republicans do all the time. But this one is he's a virus. He's a virus. How many times are you going to elect a guy who has an R after his name, who screws you into the freaking ground? Jesus, you people, you never learn. You never freaking learn. Ronnie in Oklahoma. Oh, Oklahoma.
Hey, how you doing, Randy? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Let me. I was just sitting there thinking, the wind right now is blowing like you would not believe, and we're in the plain state, so the wind is not. It's not abnormal for it to blow like it is. But it was 70.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes rushing down the plain. Oh, now they're going to flag me for a copyrighted song.
It was 70 degrees here today and a perfect day, and now all of a sudden it's just madness. But I wanted to call and thank you for all that you do. Whoever you have to be when you wake up in the morning to do what you do, I just wanted to thank you for that.
Do you have a podcast?
No, I don't.
I would like to gift you one from our friend Dora the Explorer, who specifically requested that people from Oklahoma get the free stuff today.
Thank you, Dora. And the teacher strike, I noticed it right away because I take paratransit in the morning, and I ride with the teacher on my way to dialysis. And she hadn't been on, and I hope nothing happened to her. And then the driver told me, no, she's a teacher. She's on strike. My niece graduated University of Central Oklahoma 2 years ago, and she walked into the school and got a job as a teacher. I'm like, really?
I know.
Is that easy?
Yes.
Are you serious?
No, listen, yesterday we had a guy call us up who said that there are so many temporary teachers there and that they just walk in off the street and they get hired and nobody vets them and nobody knows who they are or what. Now, I'm not saying that your relative is a bad person, but I'm so sorry. This is crazy. This is absolutely.
But she's not seasoned. The other thing, too, I wanted to mention was that that here in Oklahoma, the children are not mandated to go to school because they have a law that says if they have to work on the farm, then you can keep your kids at home, and so they can help you with your farm. They don't even have to go to school. Isn't that weird?
That's
crazy.
That's so 1910.
That's exactly what they do here.
That's grapes exactly of wrath crap. That's like really. That's wow.
And these kids are so dumb they couldn't pass a blood test. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. They have no idea. I asked this one kid, why are the leaves green? Waiting for him to tell me about chlorophyll. He said, well, because God made it green. I was like, go ahead. I was like, can I keep on moving?
Oh, you're awesome.
Like, you just cannot understand the level of ridiculousness that's here.
Oh, I can. I've been there many times.
The funniest thing is that they're so dumb, they think you're dumb.
I know.
I'm from New York City. I'm from Queens. I'm from Sunnyside, Queens. 7 trade. Let's go Mets. And these people, they try to run games that we used to run on each other in 4th grade.
How the hell did you get to Oklahoma? I know how I got there, but how did you get there?
I was driving a truck from New York to California.
That's how I got there. Oh, my God.
I was driving. For a friend of mine was moving to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I laid down in a hotel in New Mexico. I went into a diabetic coma. And I was in a coma for 3 months. My brother retired in Lawton, Oklahoma. So he was the closest one. He was the closest one to me. So he came and got me, and I learned how to walk again. And I stayed with him. Then I went back to New York for a year. It was just way too fast for me at that stage because I had strokes and stuff while I was in the coma. But I never made it to California. And Oklahoma, I can't think of any.
So where are you in Oklahoma? Which part?
Lawton, Oklahoma,
You're
Southwest.
still in Lawton? Oh my God! All right, so somebody's got to publish this book, okay? Especially some woman. No, really, because in the book, I the first talk radio I ever heard in my whole life was in Lawton, Oklahoma, and it was that Bible Belt thing where it was like, oh
my goodness,
oh mother, save your son from the scourge of the marijuana, the Mary Jane, it's the devil's weed. Oh my God, I laughed my silly little ass off in my car. I was driving a white Ford Maverick. No, it was a white Vega, and I used to just.
I remember those.
And all I had was an AM radio, and I would listen to Lawton, Oklahoma, and these crazy church shows, and then I got a job in radio, and I had to run the crazy church shows. It was
so it's funny. It's funny because Oklahoma gets hit with a lot of tornadoes.
Yeah,
but Lawton doesn't because we have Mount Scott here, and the way it's the highest point in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
and it's nice and stuff, but they take you to show you things. But they have a place called Mears here. You get a burger the size of a plate, but it tastes like zoo dirt. It tastes like zoo dirt. I'm like, this is not food. If you want real food, you have to make it yourself. That's what Oklahoma is.
Amen.
It really is.
That's why you need Jews. I mean, Jews know how to make food in a desert.
Let me tell you something. Ben's Deli, Forest Hills.
No, I'm serious. We know how to make food in a desert, and for some strange reason, white people never learned how to do it. I don't know.
Never learned. If I could get a bagel with a schmear and some capers and these lox, come on.
I know.
I worked for New York City Department of Sanitation for 20 years, and my route was in Forest Hill, so I know where all of the best chicken matzo. Whenever I was sick, I went to Ben's Deli, got a quart of chicken matzo balls too, and it always worked. It always worked.
It's so good. All right, hold on, Ronnie. I'm going to get you fixed up with a podcast. All I need is an email address from you, okay?
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. Thank you, Dora. We got one given away. I told her, I said, I don't know if we have 5 people listening in Oklahoma. I don't know if we do. And she said, well, I would prefer that you give it to, Okies. I think they need to hear you. And I said, all right. And then she said, look, I'm not going to be like, Mr. Iron Man wanted to give the podcast only to millennials. And he said he wouldn't be religious about it. And Dora, said she wouldn't either. But I'm still going to try and look for people from Oklahoma. Paul in Vermont.
Oh, hey, Randy.
Hey.
I've been listening to you for a long time. This is the first time calling you.
Oh, wow. There you go. All right.
Yeah, you're awesome.
Thanks.
So here's what I wanted to say is, first of all, what you were kind of vamping on. We're living in a movie that nobody would write because nobody would believe it.
That's right.
It's that. So it's all crazy. But here's the point I'd like to make today. I've been wanting to say to somebody for a long time on the radio, and it's that progressives by nature are not necessarily aggressive per se. I'm progressive. We are more interested in moving forward, typically, and solving problems than getting hung up in dirty tricks and the rest of it. Not that that doesn't happen. However, my point is that the thing is that we suck at it. Okay, that's why it's hard. When the right versus the left, the right, you cut the Karl Rove dirty tricks and all the rest, and bring it up to date now. We're kind of no match for him, right? Yeah. All right. So the thing here is that we need to make the Republicans pay for Trump. I don't think they're paying enough. I think, yes, we're going to have blue waves, which is going to be great. But I think all of the progress that's happening, or the majority of it, is coming from people, from us, from the populace. And I just don't hear or see enough resistance from Democratic voices, Democratic politicians who are in that position. And so I think in order to make the Republicans pay, I think we need to try to make it a habit of, when speaking of, when the word Trump is mentioned, it gets connected with the word Republican, because they own him, baby, and they can have him. But we need to make them pay. And they haven't paid enough yet. And maybe, hopefully, they'll pay at this election, but I don't know. But that's my point.
I know what you're saying, but this is a perfect opportunity to point this out to you. The Republican Party allows him to do everything he's doing. They say nothing. You talk about being quiet. You say you don't hear Democrats railing and screaming. And you know what? When I turn on the TV and I hear, somebody trying to get a subpoena, it's a Democrat. It's Adam Schiff, or it's Eric Swalwell, or it's Gerald Nadler. Do you know? I mean, I do see the Democrats on TV, and they're saying, we don't have subpoena power, people, and you got to realize that we don't. If we don't get the majority, we'll never have it. But you give us subpoena power, and you will see perp walks. You will. You'll see people.
That's all understandable to me.
But what I want to show you is that the Republicans, the Mitch McConnells, the Paul Ryans, do you see them anywhere on the TV? Do you hear that? No, they're saying absolutely nothing. So to look to politicians to do what needs to be done is kind of sad, because I'll tell you what they tell people like me. When I've made your voice heard in front of them, and I said, because they always say, "What do your listeners say?" And I'll say, "My listeners say that you're a bunch of namby-pamby, lily-livered, yellow-bellied, sapsuckers, and that you say nothing and you do nothing." And they always say, until the people come, until the people show up, until we get back to the majority, we're not going to be able to do a thing. And you have to relay that back to them, that we're their representation and it's not the other way around. If they don't give us the majority, we can't issue a subpoena. If they don't give us the majority, we don't have any committee. We can't even have a hearing. We can't even call a hearing. We have no power whatsoever.
I get that, but I don't get the zero power factor. I think that they do have power because they have.
But look at how quiet the Republicans are. They say nothing.
Yeah, of course, because they're getting what they're hoping and getting what they can, and they're playing a very dicey game here.
Yeah, they're going to lose.
Risky game with
they're going to
lose.
And they're
in the end, I believe you're right. I believe they will lose. But thank goodness.
I feel like Angel Stillwell. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. I really do, because they are going to lose, and they will be, shown to be the losers that they are. If we get the majority back, watch. You won't be saying that Democrats are namby-pamby do-nothings anymore.
No.
But I will say this. I will say this. The last time the Democrats had the majority was for like 5.5 seconds. Remember, we didn't really have the Senate. Al Franken's election was down to 316 votes. We had to go through a recount and all this. And Obama had a majority for what, like 9 months or something. And he chose to try and ensure 30 million people. He thought that was the best use of the majority. So that's what he worked on. Now, was that a mistake? Time has told us probably. And that there were other things like, equal justice under the law and policing and ending wars and, things like that. But Citizens United obviously just screwed us to the wall. But I got to say, if we get the majority back, it will be a different group. It's not going to be the DLCers. It's not going to be the corporate Democrats that were the majority, when Clinton was president. Okay. And
no doubt about it. If we get that, we're at least on the way. I just wish, I would love to hear and kind of spread the word that, hey, every time you say the word Trump, follow it with the word Trump and the Republicans. Trump and the Republicans. Trump and the Republicans, because they got to pay.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. Their silence is deafening. And the fact that this president is tearing this world apart, tearing our country apart, tearing our institutions apart, tearing people's hearts out, that they have to pay.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Okay, listen really carefully to this.
We have new details about the special counsel obtaining documents from a new key witness in the Russia investigation. Sources telling ABC News those documents appear to call into question the congressional testimony of a prominent Trump supporter.
Eric French, Trump's supporter and Blackwater Security founder, leaving a closed session of the House Intelligence Committee frustrated.
I've already wasted
4 hours of my life on that.
But sources tell ABC News that very testimony is now drawing increasing scrutiny from the special counsel. The brother of Education Secretary Betsy DeVos was irritated by Democrats raising questions about a meeting he had with a Russian with close ties to Vladimir Putin, half a world away at the Seychelles Islands in the days just before Trump's inauguration.
They're asking weird fishing expedition questions.
Prince suggested to House investigators he had met Putin ally and Russian businessman Kirill Dmitriev in the Seychelles by chance. I didn't fly there to meet any Russian guy, Prince testified last November. Prince said he had gone there to discuss possible business opportunities with officials from the United Arab Emirates, and he said they suggested he meet with the Russian. But Prince's testimony is now being revisited because of George Nader, a Lebanese-American with international connections. Sources tell ABC News Robert Muller has obtained documents from Nader that appear to conflict with Prince's testimony about the Seychelles encounter. Nader, now a key witness, has testified before Mueller's grand jury at least 4 times. Sources say among the documents Mueller has secured are those suggesting Nader met with Prince at the Pierre Hotel in New York City on January 3, 2017, and that within 24 hours, Nader sent Prince detailed bioinformation on Dmitriev showing he was a powerful Putin ally.
A week later, Prince was in the Seychelles having a beer with Dmitriev. Nader says he was at the Seychelles meeting, something Prince never mentioned in his congressional testimony. Prince has denied going to the Seychelles as a representative of the Trump transition, and a spokesman tells us he stands by what he told Congress.
He's a jackass.
He is a jackass. You know that whole freaking family, the DeVos, Betsy DeVos and her freaking defense contractor brother who will send mercenaries to fight on any side of any, all you got to do is pay them. Pay me. They're a bunch of freaking rats. The whole family is a bunch of freaking rats. The Mercers that stole all the Facebook, they think they're tearing our family apart. They think that they're tearing the Democratic family apart, or the progressive family apart, or the black family and the white family apart. Screw that. Screw that. We're going to tear their families apart. We're going to tear them apart, people. Tear them apart. So they'll be like the Menendez brothers. The next reunion Betsy DeVos has with Eric Prince will be in federal prison. How's that for you? How's that? He freaking lied under oath, Eric Prince did. That's what that was an ABC News report, and I haven't seen it anyplace else. But it turns out that, everything that we said about that Seychelles meeting, everything that we said about Eric Prince and how suspicious it all was, that they all went and flew out, the United Arab Emirates and Putin's freaking hand-picked oligarch, that they all, and Eric Prince, this Blackwater defense contractor, they all flew out to the Indian Ocean, and in the middle of nowhere, they all just bam ran into each other. That's all that happened, and they had a beer together, and it was all by happenstance, and it had absolutely nothing to do with setting up a back channel with Russia and the Trump administration, because this was post-election. It was after the election, just ahead of the inauguration. They were setting up back channels with Russia to evade the prying eyes and ears of our intelligence community. And then idiot boy Kushner, he's another one. Now we find out he got a $285 million loan from Deutsche Bank just ahead of the decision that Deutsche Bank was facing about whether or not they would, be punished for Russian money laundering and fraud. So they give Jared a nice big fat freaking loan. And then all of a sudden, all they have to do is pay a little fine, and everything is dismissed, right? Like days after the Trump administration is the Trump administration. These Republicans, they make me sick. Can you imagine? Obama wore a pair of tan pants. And the whole freaking media went up. Oh my God, he's so disrespectful. Put his feet up on his desk. Black man can't put his feet up on the desk. It's disrespectful. And by the way, everybody, we had a black president, according to Fox News, so all racism is over. Oh, my God. Brett was outside with me just now, and he said, it sort of sends this really sick, twisted message when the Republicans say crap like, white privilege equals wealth or something like that, and that Jay-Z is in no position to talk about white privilege because he's wealthy. He says, I'm a black man, and I'm getting ahead. I'm trying so hard, and I'm doing the right things, and I get ahead, and all of a sudden I go to the top of my game, and I'm doing great. And all of a sudden, what? Because I'm situated well, I should say nothing about the way that I'm treated when I'm, untethered from my job, when I'm just, driving my car or walking through a supermarket or in a fancy store in Boca Raton. Because why? I did well, and therefore I can't make commentary on people that treat me with an ingrained racism that they have. And I said, Brett, I'm so sorry I'm white. I hate that I'm white. I don't want to be part of these saltines. They disgrace most white people, these saltines, these barrel heads. I mean, honestly. But okay, here's the story about Eric Prince. This is amazing. I'm just really angry today. I really, really am. I'm just super, super, super pissed because they won't stop. They're never going to stop. They're tearing us apart, or they're trying to tear us apart. And we have to bond together. We have got to do it in a big way, in a meaningful way. That even if we see teachers in red states marching from a red place like Tulsa to another red place like Oklahoma City, we have to say they have a point and we need to support them, even though it kills me because it's Oklahoma. But here's the thing about Eric Prince. Special counsel Robert Mueller, he has evidence now. He's got evidence that makes it plain that Eric Prince lied under oath when he gave testimony under oath, sworn testimony to the House Intelligence Committee, who, by the way, they're Republican, and they said, oh, that's your story? Okay, thank you for coming in, bye-bye. And the Senate Intelligence Committee, he also testified there, and, same thing. Thanks for your time, bye-bye. But there were documents that they could have looked at. There were documents they could have subpoenaed. There were witnesses to that meeting that they could have subpoenaed, they could have spoken to. And they didn't. They didn't. You know why? The Republicans are completely covering for this race baiter president, Donald Trump. This is their guy. This is their hero. This is the Republican God. Sick, right? But it's true. We're there. And so what happened was Eric Prince did go to the Seychelles Islands, and he did go with a very, very close financier to Vladimir Putin. And it was not a chance encounter, as he testified under oath that it was, because Robert Mueller now has documents that were produced by one George Nader. George Nader is a Lebanese businessman. He's got a very strange past also. Like Felix Sater, you don't know which side of the fence he's on. That's because they're on no side. They play all sides because they have no loyalty to any country. They are men without a country, men without conscience, men who will just follow the money, and they'll do anything for anybody, whether it's Iran, whether it's Israel, they don't care. They don't care. If there's money, they'll do it. That's who George Nader is. Felix Sater seems to have some sort of a double agent thing going on as well. There's a lot of these people running around, but George Nader is one of them, and he was a key witness. And Mueller had picked him up at the airport, at the Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C. And Mueller served him with a subpoena when he got off the plane because he's an American citizen. And so, he is now. He's naturalized. So Mueller was able to subpoena him, and he did. And he pulled him in. And Nader has testified 7 times. He's been interviewed by Mueller 3 times. And 4 times he was brought in front of the grand jury already in that short period of time when we first told you Mueller picked up George Nader at the airport. That's how busy Mueller has been trying to get the information about this Seychelles meeting with the Russians Eric Prince had and lied under oath to Congress about. So he's had 3 interviews Nader did with the special counsel investigators and 4 appearances in front of the grand jury. And that is just since he was stopped at Dulles International. And at Dulles, they served him with a subpoena, and they seized his cell phone and all his electronic devices and all the documents that he had, and they were all obtained by Mueller. And Eric Prince said, quote, this is what he told under oath. This is what he said under oath. He's going to jail, man. This guy's going to jail. He said, I didn't fly there to meet any Russian guy. He said he traveled to the Seychelles for a meeting with the United Arab Emirates officials about possible business opportunities, and they introduced him unexpectedly to Dmitriev, who is the Russian oligarch. Prince told the House Intelligence Committee that his meeting with Dmitriev was a chance encounter, quote, down at the bar, and it was at the suggestion of one of the brothers. Remember, there was this United Arab Emirates Crown Prince. I kept calling him MBZ. His name is Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. And we just kept referring to him as MBZ to make it memorable for you. So at the end, he says, this is what Eric Prince testifies to. He said, oh, he was, I was meeting with, MBZ. And one of his brothers at the end of our meeting says, and this is his quote, hey, by the way, there's this Russian guy that we've dealt with in the past. He's also here to see someone from the Emirati delegation, and you should meet him. He'd be an interesting guy for you to know since you're doing a lot in the oil and gas and mineral space. Oh, it sounds like Carter Page's resume. And that's what he said under oath in his sworn testimony. And then he went on and he said, quote, so as I recall, I met him. The same guy I talked about, Kirill Dmitriev. Met him down at the bar after dinner. We talked for 30 minutes over a beer, and that was it. Well, George Nader's documents and George Nader's cell phone and George Nader's testimony to the investigators 3 times and 4 times to the grand jury tells a completely different story. He has multiple sources that he cited for Muller, and he told Robert Muller that Eric Prince and him met at New York's Pierre Hotel, which is real swanky. It's like 5-star on Fifth Avenue, right? And that they had met together a week before their meeting in the Seychelles. January 11th was the meeting in the Seychelles. Right before that, okay, so Trump is waiting to be inaugurated, right? And after that meeting, the prince sent all the information about Kirill Dmitriev to Eric Prince and said that Dmitriev had been appointed by Putin to oversee their state-run sovereign wealth fund. And Nader is testifying that he facilitated, he personally attended the Seychelles meetings between Eric Prince and Kirill Dmitriev at a resort that was owned by MBZ, the United Arab Emirates Prince. They went to a hotel that he owned, but it was to facilitate, and he did facilitate, a meeting between an oligarch who manages the state-run sovereign wealth fund at the behest of Vladimir Putin and Eric Prince, who went representing Trump. Nader told investigators they went there and he wanted to go there to discuss foreign policy. I promise you it was about Syria. And to establish a line of communication between the Russian government and the incoming Trump administration. There's your back channel. And they kept trying to set up back channels to Russia to avoid the prying eyes and ears of White House staffers like the chief of staff, who's supposed to be on the line with all foreign, dignitaries when the president speaks. Of course, John Kelly is not on the line anymore because the president of the United States has now banned John Kelly. So you've got the president out there saying stupid things like there's massive voter fraud in California, but calling Vladimir Putin to congratulate him on his sham election and trying to develop back channels to him to avoid our intelligence community.
Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
And this is good, too.
Special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation is aggressively moving.
Yay.
Sources tell CNN that at least 3 Russian oligarchs have been targeted for questioning by Mueller's team, one of whom was stopped in the New York area. and had his electronics searched when his private jet landed.
His private jet.
The investigators want to know whether wealthy Russians illegally funneled cash donations directly or indirectly to Trump's campaign and inauguration.
Well, I think it shows that Mueller is, in the old white Watergate sense, following the money.
As Mueller makes his move, the Trump administration now ratcheting up pressure on Moscow, preparing its toughest action in response to Russian interference in the 2016 campaign, with plans to issue new sanctions against several oligarchs tied to Russian President Vladimir Putin, according to 2 senior administration officials. In response, a Kremlin spokesman said there are no oligarchs in Russia.
There are no oligarchs in Russia. Russia is nothing but an oligarchy. It's a kleptocracy. That is how people have money in Russia. Everybody else in Russia makes about $450 a week. You know, there's no middle class. It's just, I mean, I've been there, I'm telling you. And when you first, like if you go to St. Petersburg and all, it's beautiful. It's just so beautiful. You get on the subway, you go one stop, like if you're in New York, you go to the city and it's beautiful and there's all the rich people there. And then you go one stop and you're in Brooklyn. Well, all of a sudden you see not everybody's doing so well. Do you know what I'm saying? So there are no oligarchs in Russia. I just love this. Mueller is really making progress here. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. And I will not be happy until we tear apart this Trump family, until we literally, their next reunion. It's like a Passover. The last thing you say at the Seder is next year in Jerusalem. Okay? Well, at the Trump family Seder, which, by the way, Ivanka and Jared were not at Mar-a-Lago last Easter weekend. Oh, no. They were doing the Jewish thing. They were having a Seder, a Passover Seder, but at a beautiful 5-star place in freaking Wyoming. I was glad that, they let the Jews in at Wyoming. I was glad to know that they let them in. Apparently, very privileged, meaning wealthy in this sense, can go anywhere they want. But, it's just so fascinating. So I got to tell you, I can't wait to tear this family apart. Their next reunion should be in freaking Leavenworth, okay? That will make me satisfied. That will make me happy. The Menendez brothers, they just had their family reunion in some prison in California. They just hadn't seen each other since they killed Jose and Kitty, their parents. And now they're together forever in jail. Bunch of rats, all of them. Okay, so I have to tell you this. During the break, a guy named Doug called up from Oklahoma City, Dora, and he wanted a podcast, so we gifted it to him in your name. We told him it's Dora the Explorer that gifted you a podcast. Now, yesterday when we got the call from Noble, we were going to gift him, but Noble has a podcast, which just stunned me. And Ronnie, we gave a podcast to, and he's in freaking Lawton, Oklahoma, which is the armpit of the freaking world. It's right on the border of a fabulous city in Texas called Wichita Falls. See, that's where I went to tech school, and that's how I know about these places. Doug's on line 6? Doug's on line 5. I had it? Oh, God. Okay.
I'm here.
Hey!
I'm here.
Hey, I'm here too. So wait a minute. Are you another New Yorker that just relocated to the armpit?
No, my granny was born in Oklahoma Territory.
All right. Here's for Granny.
Yay. And I live down Elizabeth Warren's high school is my neighborhood high school. Yay.
Yay. All right. I'm very happy that we found you.
In the failed state of Oklahoma.
Such a bad place.
You know why we're having the main reason we're having these problems. It was 1999 or somewhere in there, or sometime in the 90s, after the last they had a big deal to overhaul the schools and gave the teachers pay raise. Then some of the people were outraged. They passed a state amendment to the Constitution, and listen to this. It can't be anything but a failed state. It requires 75% of the state house legislature to raise one dime of revenue.
Oh, yeah.
Can you?
That's all you do there is you keep on giving tax breaks to the people who least need them, and then you make the students pay over and over and over. But you love the fetus. I got to give it to you.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. I don't mean to group you in.
I live in a small district here on the west side of Oklahoma City, kind of in the central city, but it is the House district for the state is Democratic.
Oh, wow, really? You sent a Democrat there?
Yeah, it's a Democratic. It's a whole district.
Who's your Congress member?
Oh.
Oh, crap. I didn't mean to do that. I'll look it up.
He's a Republican. I can see him right now, but I can't.
You can't say his name. Well, here's some news. Blake Farenthold from Texas just resigned. Because sexual harassment. I think there's more raping going on in D.C. than there is on the Caravan, I got to say.
I do know that this Republican congressman we have right now is all about they need more guns in school and all that after Parkland. So.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
He's out of his mind.
Well, a lot of that's going on there, and this is why it's so funny. I just came from Austin, and Austin is a little blue nugget in that big red state of Texas. And all I saw there were these highways. They're all loops. Everything is a loop. And when you do Google Maps and stuff like that, you see one loop over another loop over another loop over another loop. Why? Because the delegation is so freaking big in states like Texas and Oklahoma that all they do is they shove pork into the state, thinking that you're doing great, but they just keep building and building and building these highways to nowhere and ripping off the kids and ripping off the teachers and ripping off the guy that's delivering the mail and saying he's responsible for your lot in life. It's just so sick and sad.
Yes, and I and three of my cousins have a lymphoma cluster from being sprayed with DDT by crop dusters and shit out there and fucking.
And you know what? The very first thing Scott Pruitt did.
Yeah, he wants to upgrade, fast track these cancer-causing compounds. Just put them out there.
Yeah, it was the very first thing he did. And, most people who live in cities, they don't realize, that there were pesticides that were taken off the market because they were causing cancer clusters. And when Scott Pruitt first went into EPA, the first thing he did was take a cancer-causing agent and put it back on the market. Like, who needed that? Who was asking for that? Who said, this is what I want done? That's what I voted for.
Right after I was diagnosed, okay?
Makes you too?
Mad.
Huh.
Yeah. Me and my cousin, we've got some little, small-growing, slow-growing blood cancers, and his sister already died last year. But my prognosis is good for a while.
That's good.
But I'm not a virgin. I called you. Remember, I was the guy going to the basement, and then a tornado came a couple of years ago.
Oh my God! Yes, so
I
really thought you were the only guy in Oklahoma back then, but now I'm starting to see because Dora made me go explore. That's why I call it Dora the Explorer.
Yeah.
That we have 1, 2, 3 listeners in Oklahoma.
Thank you. Yay! Hooray! Ding dong. All right.
Well, listen, enjoy the podcast, Doug, and check in with us. Let us know how you're doing, because I will tell you this. Howard's son had a lymphoma, too, but he's fine. He really did make it. So, if the prognosis is good, trust it.
Yeah.
But do everything they tell you.
Enjoy.
Thank you. You too.
From the failed banana republic of Oklahoma.
I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Randy, real quick, in Doug's defense over not knowing who his representative was, I just Googled Oklahoma representatives, and they all look the same.
They're all white, aren't they?
They're all white cut out. I mean,
all men? Are they all men?
All men from Caucasian area, the Caucasus Mountains.
The Caucasus, which is why they don't see Russia as a foreign adversary.
That's right. They feel at home.
Yeah, they want to be. They want to be me, is what it is. They want to be Caucasian, and I am from the Caucasus. I swear to God, my ancestry, Doc. I'm a freaking Viking, for God's sake. Yeah. Oh, it's so sad. Okay, so you're off the hook with not knowing who your rep was. Jennifer in Sacramento.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
It's Friday, you bastard.
Yes.
I wanted to revisit something that you were talking about the other day about the Postal Service and Amazon.
Okay.
And their big discount of $1.47 or $1.43. I am a part of Etsy and eBay. I have a shop on Etsy.
Okay.
And being a client of Etsy and eBay, I get a discount.
Right.
And it's anywhere between like 10 to 18%, even more if it's international. And it's more than $1.43, I'm going to say. And I use that amount to cover my costs for the packaging for the safe shipping. I don't charge, the shipping and handling. I just charge for the cost of regular shipping.
Go ahead and say your store. What's your store?
It's Raven Aesthetic on Etsy.
Raven Aesthetic?
Yeah, and
okay.
we sell vintage and antiques. And by the way, your sponsor, Mitchell Gold and Bob Williams.
Yes.
Fabulous. Oh my God.
I know. It's stunning.
Oh my
stuff.
God.
It's absolutely beautiful stuff. Half my house is Mitchell Gold.
Well, it must look fabulous.
Oh, it's unbelievable. My living room is all Mitchell Gold, and my bedroom is all Mitchell Gold. So let me tell you that. And you know what? I know Mitchell. Obviously, Mitchell and Howard went to high school together, and Mitchell decided he wanted to get into the furniture business years and years ago, and he wanted to make American furniture custom made at a fair price that he could ship without you waiting, 5 months. And what he set up there in Hickory, North Carolina, is American-made furniture, and he also has a daycare center for all the employees' children, and he does scholarships for every one of the families that have children. If their kids get into a college, Mitchell Gold pays for them to go to college, as long as the college practices non-discriminatory admissions with regard to LGBT people and African Americans, and that's what Mitchell does. And so I'm so proud to rep them. I can't even tell you.
Oh well, they're beautiful pieces.
Gorgeous.
I haven't bought anything yet, but I signed up for their club, and my birthday is next month, and we're going down to LA. So I'm going to that Beverly Hills store, and I'm getting myself a nice present. But I did see that they are a company with a conscience.
Yeah, they are.
And with
Howard,
awesome taste.
Howard and Mitchell. This is a great story about Mitchell. I hope he doesn't mind me telling it. But Mitchell, wanted to get married to the love of his life is a guy named Tim, and they're adorable. They're just such a cute couple, and they couldn't get married. They couldn't get married anywhere in the United States. And Mitchell is an observant Jewish person, and Tim is not. But Mitchell wanted to get married, and he wanted to get married, the way he wanted to get married, and all this stuff. And he realized that there was so much prejudice and vile things being said about gay people in the religious setting. So he started an organization called Faith in America, and it was designed just to fight religious discrimination in churches, in synagogues, in any religious, in mosques, anybody that would practice, telling young kids, young boys, young girls that they were not, given by God to this planet because they were born gay. And they started this organization, Faith in America, and Howard was still practicing. And so Howard joined, and he's the only heterosexual board member on Faith in America. Well, they worked so hard with the Equal Rights Campaign that they actually got the first Supreme Court decision, which, by the way, was in Iowa, to say that gays could get married. So as soon as that happened, Mitchell and Tim arranged for their wedding to happen in Iowa. We all flew to Iowa. That's how I was on a plane. That's how I got stuck traveling with Wolf Blitzer and his wife. Okay.
Oh, that story. Yeah, I remember that story.
Right. That's what I was doing in Iowa. I was going to Mitchell Gold's wedding, Mitchell and Tim's wedding. And so I got stuck in, making connections with Wolf Blitzer and his wife. And all Wolf wanted to do was find the perfect egg salad sandwich. That's all Wolf lives for is egg salad. Right. And so we get to the wedding. And you know who performed the ceremony? The Supreme Court justice who wrote the majority opinion that allowed for gay marriage. It was the most meaningful wedding I had been to in a really long time. It was a beautiful thing. It was a really beautiful thing.
As a gay person, I really appreciate that story.
Oh, are you? Yeah. See,
yeah.
So that's kind of what Mitchell is about. So go buy yourself a present. Seriously, but yeah. So. Today is good, so she's going to buy herself a present at Mitchell Gold. Her store on Etsy is called Raven Aesthetic. I'm happy to promote it. She is living proof that you get a bulk discount from the post office if you run a e-commerce business. See, now, my e-commerce business, almost everything I deliver is, over the internet. But we do have new T-shirts. We just got them today. And these are the old T-shirts. This is a redo of the original T-shirt that everybody loved with the V-neck. Hard to come by. I'm saving them for a certain day. You'll see.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Does Donald Trump making this claim tonight, in your view, make it more likely that you could convince a court to sit for a deposition for him?
Well, I think it does, most certainly. And furthermore, Ari, he's effectively thrown Michael Cohen now under the bus, at least from an ethics standpoint, with the State Bar of New York by making these statements on Air Force One. But again, this is an undisciplined guy who, he finally cracked. And we knew he would crack eventually. We've been patient. I've been waiting. And lo and behold, who would have thought that it would have arrived on this Thursday, this glorious afternoon here in New York?
Well, you say he cracked. You say he threw Cohen under the bus. What do you specifically mean? You're referencing the idea that if Donald Trump says, as he just did here within the hour, that Michael Cohen went rogue and did this all by himself, that actually hurts Cohen within the rules for lawyers because it makes it look like he went off and did something without authority from his client?
Well, that's exactly right, that he went off on his own, half-cocked, if you will, and negotiated this agreement and made the payment without any knowledge by Mr. Trump. I mean, that old saying, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive, never has been more true than it is right now, Ari.
So good. So, Donald Trump yesterday, just like I told you, threw Michael Cohen under the bus, which is a good place for Michael Cohen, because maybe if he's under the bus, Muller will miss him. See what I mean? Mueller's going after Michael Cohen for a million things, for Russian deals that he was, exploring during the campaign, and now this lying about Stormy Daniels payments and that he didn't tell his client that he entered him into an NDA, which means there is no NDA, which means Stormy Daniels can go to court, open court, and that means she gets discovery. And what does that mean? It means Michael Cohen and Donald Trump will have to be sworn and their depositions taken, and they can't tell the truth. So it's a beautiful thing that Michael Cohen, he should stay under the bus, because that's the only way that he's going to, avoid the long arm of the law, is to stay under the bus. So here you have Mueller probing not just Donald Trump's business contacts, not just the campaign, but actually the administration and ultimately the money laundering and all the other things and the presidency. I mean, this is it's going to be, I can't wait. Lee in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Oh, my God.
Hi, Randi.
Hi.
Oh, yes. And as I said, Scotty, I've been listening to you since IOD days.
Why? Were you in Florida?
Yes, I was down in Miami proper.
And what made you move to Oklahoma?
Family.
Doesn't family suck sometimes? I mean, honestly, that's how I got to Florida. Freaking family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could have been in New York my whole life. I never would have missed it. But, family. Yeah.
Oh, I agree with you on that. We lived in Terrytown, too.
So did we give you a podcast? I think we did.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Yes. Well, that's from Dora the Explorer from Brooklyn. She's a Brooklynite.
Thank you, Dora.
Thank you, Dora. Thank you. Well, what do you do there?
Right now I'm on disability.
Well, that makes sense. If I lived there, I'd be completely disabled. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning, really.
I know.
All right.
I know.
Well, thanks. I mean, I hope you enjoy the podcast. And that makes me. I got some stuff to tell people, so I could tell it to you while you're on the phone too. So people are asking me, the new subscription, the old subscriptions. Everybody that has a podcast before April 10th knows this now, and that is that you now have the video of the show on demand, commercial free, in your podcast subscription. But people don't know where to go. So this is why RandiRhodes.com is important, even though people use Podcast Republic or they use iTunes or they watch on Facebook. The only place to get the on-demand video. Now, you could do it on any device. You could do it on an iPad. You could do it on your iPhone. You could do it on your laptop. You could do it on your desktop. It doesn't matter. But you just have to go to RandiRhodes.com. Log in and then click on podcasts in the top left-hand corner and choose the one you want to hear. And they're all there.
That works brilliantly.
Right?
And it makes life easier for everybody.
Yeah, but everybody's so used to using their app to listen to our podcast, some podcast app. Well, that's not going to support the video. The video is only on randyrhodes.com, but it is there. It is commercial free. You can listen to it and watch it on demand. There's an audio player, too, if you want to. So I would just move over to randyrhodes.com and do my stuff there. That's what I would do.
Okay.
All
Not
right.
a problem.
All right.
And to let you know, my nephew is now a Randi Rhodes fan.
Oh, how old?
He is 38.
Oh, okay. I thought he was like a, well, is that a millennial or no? No, that's.
I don't know.
He's not.
That's Gen X.
That's Gen X. That's
just at the tail end.
That's you. That's you, Brett. You and Scotty are Gen X. Okay, so what do we have? We have boomers, Gen X, and then we have millennials.
Millennials, yeah.
All right. I got to find some millennials for Iron Man. He still has 5 podcasts he wants to give. Well, thank you, Lee. I'm so glad that we were able to do this for you, and I just can't believe Dora made me go explore. So I did, and so now we have Doug, Noble, Ronnie, and Lee. So that's 4
Yeah. Well,
in Oklahoma. Wow, I'm shocked.
He's coming back here for 6 months if you want to give it to reside.
No,
I'll pass. Had to try.
I'll pass.
Couldn't hurt.
Thanks, Lee. Be well.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Enjoy the show. Asan, where are you?
Kalamazoo, Michigan. This is the African side.
Oh, Michigan. Okay.
How are you?
Good.
Randy, I just want to tell you what I did. I left Kalamazoo the last Sunday. I take some kids from Kalamazoo, the top couple of the high school here. I think the kids, they were supposed to go south to choose for college. We went to all the black college there,
Yeah, which one?
First, we went to Florida. It's like a black school in there.
Oh, never go to Florida, Asan. No, you don't want to come here.
No, I'm actually
avoid Florida, avoid Oklahoma. And if you have to go to Texas, stick to Austin.
Oh, but the friends I was traveling with the friends were 16 kids, and they went they visited the car. But every time I was driving in Florida, I'm like, maybe that's Randy's house, maybe Randy lives here. But Scott just told me that you live south. I didn't know,
Yeah.
And after Florida, we went to Alabama.
Oh.
We went to Alabama to the where we go to Troy, to Montgomery.
Oh.
Yeah, and we went to Selma. We crossed the bridge. The kids did. I was just driving behind them, but I felt like that I did the crossing too.
Did you feel safe?
Yeah, it was safe. It was safe. Right. The kids would cross, and we visited the town, and we went to Troy.
Yeah.
Troy, Alabama, and I was looking for Roy Moore, but somebody told me he was at the mall.
Yeah, see, this is what Alabama produces. They produce Roy Moore. They produce, what's his face over there, Mo Brooks.
Right. But Roy Moore's still going to the mall, because when we went there, they say he's still at the mall. But, okay, and after that, we went to Little Rock, and we went also to Arkansas. We visited, the high school, the Central High School, the 9.
Yeah. Boy, you've been all over the place, man.
Yeah, and at the ending, we went to Memphis, Tennessee, and I have the chance to see where Martin Luther King got shot. I was there when they were doing this. It was beautiful. I was very, very tired, and like I was telling your guy, you helped me a lot, because during all the time I was driving, I went back and started listening to you. I was listening to you since since Sunday night. For real, and you keep me awake.
Yeah, I do that to Howard, too. I don't keep him up, just awake.
Right. You keep me awake all night, because I was driving with another driver. He fell asleep on me.
That's what my friends, too, Karen and Steve, they drove from Texas back to Florida after the wedding. We flew back because I had to go to work, but they drove back, and that's what they did. They listened on the radio. They listened to the podcast the whole way. They said, and Steve told me the same thing. But God, you can keep somebody up, awake. I said, yes, I keep you awake, but not up.
Well, actually, it was very funny though, because even some of the show I listen to every day, but I was listening to it again, and it felt very new again. I want to thank you for it. You keep me awake.
You're so sweet.
I got back yesterday. I should be sleeping, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna go back and listen to it. I'm gonna listen to you. After 6, I'll go back to bed. Right?
Yeah.
But and good job for all the work you do. Thank you very much. And
thank you, Asan. Thank you.
We're listening.
Thank you.
And we love you, and we love your staff, too.
I love you back. I love you back. I love you. I love your family. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye, honey. Tamika in Sacramento.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, Randy. Okay, hey, it's Tamika from Queens, and I'm back
Oh,
in my
you're from
hometown of
Queens.
Sacramento.
I get you. Okay.
Well, yeah, but I'm back in Sacramento, my hometown. To reflect on what you said earlier in your broadcast, what we're going through up here is beyond reproach. And the gentleman that I spoke to before, he probably heard my voice crack a little bit, but it's just...
You're talking about Stephon Clark, the whole situation there?
Yes, yes. And it's been just so...
heart-wrenching. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, these people are tearing our hearts out, and I'm so sick of it.
I'm a freaking stagehand. I dress in show blacks. I have a tool bag, and that could possibly kill me. Like, I'm sorry. None of that makes sense.
No, it
so
doesn't.
What you've been speaking about, all of it does not make any sense, and I thank you for taking my call.
Oh, honey, I love you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Come home. Come home. Just come home. I know. The one good thing I could tell you is the California legislature, they're passing laws, to try and stop this craziness. You know, they're taking steps. They're opening up.
But that's not.
I know.
Be afraid of us.
Listen, I know.
Like, my God.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. You know, it kills me because, listen, I send Brett out into the world every single night, and he has to go. You know, he's got 2 jobs, which is why he does better than me. But he has 2 jobs, and I send him out every single night, and I worry about him, okay? I worry about him driving and cops pulling him over and all the other things, just because of what he looks like. I mean, he's part of our family, and it's just his experience in the world and my experience in the world are not the same experience. And it's because of these crazy people that keep on propounding these myths, these mythical, traits that belong to this skin color and that skin. I mean, it's just gotta stop.
When I told your caller person who answered the phone,
that's Scotty.
Scotty, the fact that you said that, and we've all been feeling that, and mind you, I've been all over the world. I mean, I was in Queens. I was in New York, and back in my hometown, Sacramento. But the fact that you were calling that out is beyond reproach at this point, because everyone really kind of has to see that there is a problem.
Duh. I mean, honest to God, man, there are still segregated schools in this freaking country. 2018.
I know.
You got this little saltine man standing up in front of the city council right outside of Atlanta using the N-word, and what killed me was that the city council member said, "Does anybody else here find this offensive?" And nobody spoke up for him, Mr. McCord.
Nobody said nothing.
Nothing.
Nobody said nothing.
One of them actually said to him, "Mr. McCord, let him finish." And that's when I said, "Oh, fuck you." That's when I lost it. That's when I lost it.
And I actually posted that when you were talking about that, but nobody's even talking about that doctor. And I know people that knew that gentleman since they were 17 years old that passed away in Atlanta, and they found his body intact in Atlanta, some Atlanta river that worked for the CDC. Like, just no.
I know. You're right. No. That story just went right under the bridge, just like his body. And the story about the New York kid who had bipolar disorder, who was running around the street with a pipe. Nobody talked about him either. And I mean,
there is one woman.
Gives me chills.
There is one woman here, Stephon Clark's aunt, that is talking about mental health. And also, because I work with the local television station here, the aunt and Black Lives Matter have been speaking out about what's got to take place, because that's not like you like. And I hate to quote Al Sharpton, but you can't be startled if somebody's.
I know
coming
what
up
you mean.
to you.
I know.
like
He's a flawed messenger, but right now he is delivering an important
but you
message.
can't be startled if somebody's coming up to you. I mean, they shot that young man in Brooklyn. Oh man,
I know, Tamiko.
It's
I hear you. I feel you. I get it. I
unrational.
understand. And sometimes I want to shake people. I was so angry today. So thank you. Your call meant a lot to me. Thank you.
And
I'm out of time now. I got to go.
And your recording meant a lot today.
Oh.
So thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Love you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, so we still have 5 podcasts to give away to finish out the week. These are courtesy of Mr. Mark. First 5 callers at 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844. First 5 callers. That will complete the 20 that were gifted by Iron Man and Mr. Mark. I still have 2 left for people in Oklahoma that we'll revisit again next week because it's hard to find people in Oklahoma. But thank you for finding us. Buy a stinking podcast. Yeah.